Hi guys, so this is going to be a new video talking about second language acquisition and second language learning, and this is going to be I guess an interesting video because I'm going to talk about pretty much what I consider to be the main goals that you should aim at when you are trying to learn a second language, when you are trying to speak a second language. And this is, of course, completely based upon my own point of view and my own experiences. I don't have a book or any other author who backs me up on this. This is just, like my point of view and my experiences. And here I basically want to talk or to present what I consider to be the ideal three I don't want to say three stages because they are not stages, but they are more like goals, like the ideal three goals that you should try to achieve when you are trying to speak a language. And of course this video is for people who are trying to speak a language, to become functional in a language, people who want to travel to that country, and if they are able to become members of that society. This is not meant for people who are interested in, reading literature. If that's what you want, then I guess that grammar translation would do you good. But yeah, that's like an entirely different, goal. So it needs different approaches. This is for people who want to speak the language. And yeah, I have like identified three goals, and I'm going to talk about them. So the first goal is basically the most important goal, and the first goal is to try to develop communicative competence. What do I mean by this? Well, the first goal is to become functional, to be able to express yourself, to be able to communicate yourself in pretty much all the situations that you would encounter in real life. By that, you are going to need to acquire like the main vocabulary, also the main expressions, and you will realize that you are communicative competent when you're able to improvise with the language. Of course, you cannot learn every single word or every single piece of vocabulary for every single situation. That's pretty impossible. That's pretty crazy. But if you have already acquired the amount of language and you are already able to improvise with that language, and you are able to get your message across in most of the situations that you encounter, even though they are surprise situations or situations that you weren't planning to be, if you're able to communicate yourself and the other person understands you, even though you don't speak grammatically 100% like a native speaker, or that you use a flawless grammar, but if you're able to communicate yourself and the other party is able to understand you, well, that's when you realize that, oh my god, I am communicative competent. I can communicate even though I'm not, I don't know every single word. You realize that you're communicative competent basically when you are in a situation and you don't know the word for something, but you're able to improvise and to get your message across, or to basically get around that concept for the other party to understand it. So yeah, that's something pretty cool. And if you're able to do that, then you have succeeded in the first and most important goal, which is the goal of being communicative competent. And that is a really good thing to achieve. The first goal, the most important goal. Now, it comes the second goal, once that you have already achieved the first goal, which is the most important goal. The second goal is a little bit more, lengthy, or a little bit more, if you want to think about it, complicated. And basically, the second goal is to expand your level of comprehension. What do I mean by this? Well, when you achieve the first goal, which is the goal of communicative competence, you have the competence of speaking, okay? You're competent producing the language, speaking the language. However, your level of production, your level of speaking is pretty much that of 10 years old. You know? You speak like, a little kid. And you don't need to be offended by that. 10 years old speak with quite an extreme fluency. But the thing here that I want to explain is that language acquisition doesn't stop when you're a little kid. It's not like it starts when you're like 2 months old and it ends when you're like 2 years old. No, language acquisition never stops. And just let me ask you, does a teenager speak in the same way than 5 years old? Of course no. A teenager is better at speaking. He's able to express more complex ideas. He's able to use a wide range of lexicon, and the 6-year-old or the 7-year-old is not able to do any of that stuff. He's able to communicate, but in a more restricted way. And the same principle applied. Does a teenager speak the same way than a professional adult does? And of course no. The professional adult has, a deeper understanding of the language, and he's able to communicate even better with more abstract ideas and more concepts. And that's the proof right there that you don't stop acquiring the language. You're always acquiring the language, always. So, I took a little tangent there, but the point that I'm trying to make is that after you complete the first goal, you're basically like a 10-year-old. You have a good level of a good level of the overall language, but you need to expand your level of comprehension, just like you expanded your level of comprehension naturally when you were a teenager. You stopped talking like a child and you started to speak more like an adult. And the way that you did this was basically just by living and acquiring the language. And that's something that you kind of will do when you are trying to achieve the second goal, which is the goal of increasing your comprehensible abilities. And the way to achieve comprehensible abilities, well, at first you are not going to be able to understand movies or to understand documentaries or stuff like, or debates or stuff like that. That is going to be pretty hard. What you want to do is to engage or to find content that you are able to understand. And I already made a video about comprehensible input. You can watch it to understand what am I talking about. But yeah, your goal here in this second stage is to find comprehensible input. To find lots of it. Now, comprehensible input sometimes is difficult to find, but you really need to find comprehensible input. So yeah, let's say that you start with a series or with a couple of videos that you like and you're able to understand mostly like 80% of it. So after that you feel that you're able to understand a little bit more, and you start to watch more complex things, and then you start to realize that you can understand a little bit more, and you just progressively start to engage in more and more complex material, and you're able to understand more and more. And what I want to say here is that this goal, to achieve this goal, to expand your level of comprehension, is not something that happens fast. It's something that requires a lot of time, actually. But it doesn't really matter because the important goal, the first goal, developing communicative abilities, is already there. So once that you have achieved that, you can take it easy with the second goal, and the second goal is a lengthy goal. It's not a fast goal. It's going to take, well, I guess that if you are in the country or you are near the country where that language is spoken, it may not be that lengthy. But if you're not, then yeah, it's going to take you a couple of years to expand your comprehensive level. So the amazing thing about comprehension is that it works both ways. Comprehension obviously helps you comprehend the language, understand the language, but the more material you're able to understand, the better your speaking ability is going to get. So that's the magic of it. Once that you realize that you are able to understand more and more and more complex things and more complex things, you will start to realize that your speaking abilities are increasing. You are able to use lexicon that you didn't have. You're able to express yourself more naturally, and ideas flow in a better way than they used to. So yeah, this is like a really essential stage to becoming an intermediate, I guess. So that's the second goal, and you must remember it's going to be a lengthy goal. It's not going to be something that you will acquire in like 2 or 3 months. No, it's going to take its time, and obviously it took you time to increase your level of comprehension with your L1. It took you, like 5 years or something like that. So obviously when you try to do that with an L2, it's going to take also time. So that's the second goal. Finally, we have the third goal, and the third goal is basically, it's also a lengthy goal. Well, I guess so. The third goal is to fine-tune everything that you know about the language. And by this I mean to study grammar and to study orthography. And yeah, that's pretty much to engage into a really serious look at the grammar of the language and of the orthography of the language. You can study grammar when you're a beginner, of course, but it's completely different to study grammar when you're a beginner and study grammar when you are like intermediate advanced. It's like it's incredibly different. When you're a beginner and you study grammar, it's like, oh my god, this is so freaking complex, or this doesn't make any sense. You are just baffled by all the strange rules that you're supposed to learn, those strange rules that you're supposed to acquire. So when you're a beginner and you start to learn grammar, it's really, like daunting. But when you're intermediate or when you're advanced and you start to really study the grammar of the language, it's the complete opposite. Is when you're intermediate or advanced, and you're studying the grammar of the language, you're like, oh, so that's the reason why they say it like that. Oh, so that's the reason I must conjugate the verb like that. You start to understand everything, and grammar becomes, like the perfect map or the magic book that explains all of those strange secrets that you previously had about the language. So, of course, studying grammar when you're advanced is completely different. It has like the complete opposite effect that when you're a beginner. So I guess that this is like the perfect moment of studying grammar, in a really extensive fashion, and also to study orthography. And many people criticize the study of grammar because they say that it's not natural, and yeah, they are relatively correct. But you must also understand that you even received grammatical instruction and orthographic instruction in your L1 when you were a little child. And once again, let me ask you another question. Does a kid who went to elementary school speak the same way than a kid who didn't? And the answer is probably not. The kid who went to elementary school is going to speak is going to be able to write in a better way than the one who didn't, and that's because he received instruction regarding his L1 in elementary school. So that's pretty much what you're trying to do here. And when it comes to orthography, you need instruction from books. You need to learn orthography from books, just as you did with your L1. And yeah, you must remember that writing is not something that is natural for us humans. We need to learn how to write. That is not something that comes out naturally. No, we need to learn it, and we need to, find books that will teach us that. So that's the third goal, the goal of fine tuning, and it's also quite a lengthy goal. And that's pretty much it. Those are like the three goals. The first goal is the most important goal, and the goal of communicative ability. And one thing that I want to say about the first goal, which is the most important, is that it's a hard goal to achieve if you're trying to do it alone. It's really hard because the point of it all is to be communicative with it, with the language. But if you're alone, then there's like no way or no parameter to indicate that you're already able to communicate yourself with the language. So, you need other people. You can start this journey alone, but eventually you will require someone else, like a tutor or like a teacher or someone else for you to communicate with. And if you are trying to find a teacher, make sure that you find a teacher that uses like communicative approaches or that uses comprehensible approaches. Or trying to find a tutor like that. But yeah, the point here is that you cannot really achieve communicative competence alone. You need other people. You need people to interact with. That's the only way in which you're really going to know that, yeah, you're already capable of communicating yourself in most situations. So yeah, find people that can help you. And as you know, if you already achieved the first goal, that's excellent. You can just take it easy by now and try to achieve the other two goals, which are more lengthy in nature. So, well, that's pretty much it. I think that I'm not missing anything. For the people who follow my blog, yeah, I know that I haven't been writing anything lately in this month of March. This has been a really, stressing kind of month for me regarding school and everything. It was a really complicated and stressful month, so I didn't have a lot of free time to work on the blog. But I'm hoping that April is going to be different. Because I'm going to have like a little break there. So I will try to use that time to finish Goddess of Thunder and to upload more videos regarding languages and linguistics. So yeah, that is going to be all for now. I think this is my longest video yet. I'm going to stop it right now. So see you later, and thanks for watching.